Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap. Oh, man, how happy I am to be here with you guys today. Tyler Finley saying I'm late again. Look, sometimes I'm going to be a little bit late. It's been raining out here. We got the dams open. Max Stark Dam opened up two floodgates. So who knows? Blake might be having to address the old Lake Travis water level here soon enough. But yeah, the kids, I guess the stuff with getting them out of school took a little longer today. Very, very sorry about being late. Blake, do we have another 5-star national top 10 player committing today by any chance?
Oh, good question. Not that I know of, Alex.
Okay. All right. But hey, we do have a great show in store for you guys today. I'm sure we'll talk some about Wingo. We'll take any of your questions that you might have. But man, an important topic that I wanted to discuss was just Texas has a football game in 2 days. So and the setup couldn't be more perfect for Maalik Murphy. So we're gonna talk about that. I have the offensive line grades that I was going to get to yesterday that I'm going to get into today, as well as the offensive breakdown. We'll just jam it all into one show here on Football with Friends. It will, of course, be fun as hell. Sark had his availability today. We got some injury updates and some non-updates. So we'll see if we can parse through that with the Coach Speak Whisperer. Keys to victory, of course. Betting insights. We'll see how that's going. I saw that somebody just said in chat that the prize picks
are out. There's not very many of them, but there are a few on Texas.
Is there one for Maalik Murphy?
No.
Yeah, that'll be a Saturday morning deal. Have they discounted do you have them?
Yeah, so we got Adonai Mitchell at 44.5 receiving yards, Bert Auburn at 7.5 kicking points, Jonathan Brooks 110 rushing yards.
Wow. That sure escalated quickly. Old Darwin Lemons just sitting back in his chair smoking a cigar, smiling like the cat that ate the dang canary.
Brooks again 18.5 receiving yards. Brooks again 128.5 rushing plus
18.5 receiving.
Yep,
he's done. Oh gosh, I might need to go make that.
More. Everyone do the more before they.
We're going to do we should just do a Texas Prize Picks deal. We'll do a Texas Prize Picks deal today. We'll also do a Thursday Night Football Prize Picks deal towards the end of the show, as we are want to do. As always, please do not tail it. Please do not tail it.
Do not tail. No.
We'll look into. Did I say I wanted to talk about some of the stuff with the reverse line movement as far as the betting trends for this? It's like, for once, the line movement for this thing from the books looks like they're actually like all this. It's so weird how these sports books are, that they all of a sudden now they're like getting behind Texas, and like we're getting reverse line movement looking like the books are confident in Texas all of a sudden, whereas they never seem to be. And this line to me feels a little bit cockamamie. We're going to talk about that, and of course we're going to take your questions. So if you have them,
this is the first time almost all year that there's been some serious doubt about the Longhorns going into a game. We've been super confident most of this season. The national narrative has been Texas is going to roll. So that'd be interesting to get into in a bit.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, oh gosh, and at the end of the show, I'm just going to need to talk about it. Texas Parks and Wildlife Division has opened up public comments for these new. I'm being serious, for these new chronic wasting disease rules. Ooh. Some of them are pretty. A lot of them pertain mainly like deer breeders and breeding facilities and stuff like that. And I kind of have thoughts on that as well. Not as strong of opinion as maybe some of my friends. I have a friend, Nathan, who has a breeding facility. I've been out to look at that merch.
Look at that hat.
Blake with the hat.
Fun as hell.
I've been out to his spot, man, where he's a deer breeder. He's a great guy. He does things by the book, but there's some things there. I think I mainly wanted to focus on the thing that affects just the everyday hunter, right? And there are a couple of these things in this that they're looking for public comment. So we're going to talk about that stuff if you're interested. And then merch. Look at that merch. Oh gosh, I got a hat too, right here. See, that's that camo hat. Looks good. Looks good. You can scan the QR code there. If you get the shirts, I would recommend getting the shirts that are the tri-blend. I think we took the other one down, didn't we?
I think so.
Yeah, so it's just the shirts that look good and fit good. Look, look good, feel good, play good, right? What's up to everybody in chat, man? So good to see all you guys. I mentioned it earlier. We saw, oh my gosh, Gary, Big Daddy Lewis, so happy to see you. Colby S, so good to see you, my friend. Jay Ward, of course. Hacker, Money B, it's fun as hell. Yes, sir, Money B, so good to see you, my friend. Colin Crowder. Let's see. Oh, Gary, Big Daddy Lewis says truckers make the world go round.
Absolutely.
You will not hear any argument here, man. Thank you so much for your service to us and getting us the goods and services that we need so very badly. Raymond Solis, so good to see you. Randy Studdard, Blake May, Justin Walker, Teddy Cody Carpentier, Mile in the Sky. Oh, Cody, when are you getting Cody? I'm going to give you a call after the show. We'll figure out what we need to do about getting you out here to Lake Travis tomorrow to do the do football.
Oh yeah, we got to
figure out what we're gonna do, man. We need to go grab some beers or something tomorrow night. Hopefully, finish off 2 bottles of Disaronno and Golly, you're on your honeymoon and you're drinking Disaronno. My God, my goodness, Cody.
Real quick, first we got Darwin. Thank you, my man. Going to be fun. Hopefully the Rangers pull it out. And then Blake May asking if the Stars are a lock tonight. No, they're off to a really hot start, but we got the backup goalie tonight. Ottinger's getting a rest. So Stars, I still like the Stars, but a lock, probably not.
It's a lock that Maalik Murphy is just in the most perfect spot that you could ever imagine. That's a lock.
Absolutely.
Look, we're gonna find out about Maalik Murphy in this game. Texas, of course, now 18.5-point favorites at home versus BYU. We'll talk about our keys to victory, how we feel like they can exploit this defense, et cetera, et cetera. We probably, we'll get into. If you guys want to talk more about Ryan Wingo, we can talk about that. But like some of this team stuff, we got to get it done. So I did the offensive line grades and. I once again, charted the offense, and once again, I charted an offense that had 3 wide receivers on it that are going to the NFL next season, 2 of which are being mocked in the first round of early NFL drafts. I saw a tight end in Jatavion Sanders, who, this is going to be of no real, this isn't going to be anything that's of any real surprise to you guys. But Jatavion Sanders in this last game was back up to 80.3% of snaps, whereas versus Kansas, wherever he was banged up, 16.28% of snaps. Then OU just getting back to normal, 49.35% of snaps. Jatavion Sanders, even though he did give up that bad sack to get Quinn Ewers hurt, and it wasn't him that got Quinn Ewers. I don't mean to say it was him that got Quinn Ewers hurt. The game of football got Quinn Ewers hurt. He's got I always hate it when, I shouldn't say that he got him hurt. It was the game of football got him hurt, but he missed a block that resulted in a tackle that resulted in Quinn Ewers getting hurt behind the line of scrimmage. But he's still, man, he looks like he's back. He played 80.3% of snaps. Texas played 66 snaps on offense, true snaps on offense, not the way that cockamamie PFF counts this stuff. I wonder, how does PMF, I can understand that they would count the one. It's like they gave Cam Williams like a really good blocking grade and I'm just like, Cam Williams, he didn't even play. And then I thought back, oh wait, but they did have the kneel down at the end. They had the one kneel down. And I'm just like, what did they just have him for one snap?
Give him a 99 for the kneel down.
Sure enough. How many snaps played? One, like blocking grade, whatever it was, like a green, whatever. But no, I don't know how they derive their snaps. Like Cody has said before, that he thinks that whenever he was doing his player charting at Player Profiler, that they would chart the snaps that were like spiked balls or stuff like the stuff you can't kneel downs or penalty plays or punts. It's like, how can you count that as an offensive snap? But out of the 66 snaps played, Jatavion Sanders played 53 of them, so he's back. You think about the offensive line, right? So we talked about the wide receivers. We talked about the tight end. Jatavion will be a first round pick. And his stock just goes up whenever you consider the fact that that Bowers from Georgia, the overall tight end 1, is now injured for the rest of the season, right?
Yep.
Before I even talk about the offensive line, what about the running backs? You have Jonathan Brooks, who's 800 yards rushing, something like that. He's caught 18 balls. He one of the nation's leaders. He's looked great. He's widely kind of renowned now at this point. He's become a household name. People talk about him like one of the best runners in the nation. Behind him, you have a 5-star stud who's just getting his legs underneath him, and C.J. Baxter. And then the offensive line. Did they play their best game versus U of H? No, it wasn't their best game. Technically, though, as we're going to get to in the deep dig, it was surprisingly, on average, it was their second best game of the season. As far as across all these guys, that happened mainly because of Hayden Conner looking like he's back to health. It just like, look, I'm just saying, like, I'm not like he was hurt. There was something that was going on with him. He was playing hurt. If you look at where what
is this sarcastic from Darwin? He's already at 825. He could hit 1,000 in this game.
So Sam Hayes is saying 238.5 passing yards for Maalik on a competitor of Prize Picks.
Okay, that's
so, man, I think I would be inclined to maybe take the less on that, not because I think that Maalik is in a bad spot, because this whole monologue is about the idea that Maalik Murphy is in the perfect spot. It's not just a good spot; it's the perfect spot. It's a better spot than any backup quarterback since I've been doing this at Texas has ever stepped into. Period. And because if you look at the offensive line, we'll get to how we got to this, but maybe I'll just kind of pull this up real quick. And if you just look at where the offensive line is right now, and you sort it via history, right? So the historical snaps per disruption sheet. Okay. So if I take this thing down to like 50%, can we see most of the sheet?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So check this out, man. This right here is how many players? Since 2013, this is guys who played at least 100 snaps for Texas. There are 73 of them total. Okay. In this column right here, that snaps per disruption allowed and or penalties occurred, right? Penalties caused. Here you have Christian Jones. Here you have Kelvin Banks. Here you have Jake Majors. All of a sudden, here you have DJ Campbell with all this space beneath him, right? There's a lot more space beneath him. There's a lot more space beneath him than there is above him. There's 47 beneath him. There is 46 beneath him, 26 above him. Wow. He's starting to look like a real star. And we'll talk about the trends that have gotten him up here, because if you remember where DJ Campbell started, he started right here. Now he's all the way up here. And Hayden Conner now finally with a good game, getting out of the absolute basement. So that just goes to show this is an offensive line where just look at okay, so at the right tackle you have Christian Jones, who's up here in the top 5 for snaps per disruption allowed, right? He's grading out like he's going to be probably a day 2 NFL pick. He's going to go to the Senior Bowl. Kelvin Banks, we all know, who is going to be a future NFL draft pick, first-round draft pick starting next year. Jake Majors, who's been a revelation, and I still don't really exactly understand how he's been able to do what he's been able to do this season, especially considering the fact that this game he's a little bit banged up, played his second worst game of the season other than Rice in this last game. Okay, DJ Campbell, I was thinking about it, and I was just thinking about some of these older teams that I would do the charting and the grading on, and it would be the second best player if you had DJ Campbell, the second best player on that offensive line would he would be a country mile behind DJ Campbell right now, even with the warts that DJ Campbell has, even with the fact that he gave up a sack and a half in this last game and a run stuff, right? Even when he does give up those plays, we're talking about a guy who is gonna be, he's on his way to being elite. He's on his way to being really, really, really very good. Hayden Conner is looking like he's healthy. So all of a sudden now you have the best offensive line I've seen since I've been doing this for the deep dig. So since 2013, was that 11 years? I guess I sometimes get it mixed up and say 13 years, but it goes back to 2013. So 11 years of doing this stuff. If you also had Sark today in his availability saying the thing that he thought was really cool, and we'll go over the availability. I promise we're going to get to all this stuff, but this whole thing about Maalik Murphy being in the perfect spot, like, I'd feel like like, does anybody else see it this way? Like, people are so worried about, oh, it's a new quarterback, it's Maalik Murphy, it's all that. But we've been in spots where there have been backup quarterbacks having to come in, and geez, man, so there have been times where it's been like Case McCoy and stuff, and even like the Hudson Cards of the world, and you feel okay about them because they were, they came with high recruiting pedigree, and they were high rated studs and rivals and stuff. And you look like, so was Maalik Murphy. He went to all these Elite 11s and stuff. He goes to the Trent Dilfer quarterback camps. He goes to these camps wherever the NFL draft media goes out. He goes to these things where like Daniel Jeremiah is out there at the camp watching these guys go throw the ball around, getting an early look at them. Like these QB academies and the Manning deals. And Maalik Murphy's been to those things. And look, this isn't so much about Maalik Murphy as it is the situation Texas finds itself in. They find themselves in a situation where, coming into this BYU game, for one, BYU's not that good, right? For two, the surrounding cast around the quarterback is perfect. I'm not sure that it could be any better anywhere.
I think it's as good as it's been since probably 2008 for a quarterback.
At Texas, I'm sure, but where else could you step in to where the offensive line is playing at the level it is? I mean, the offensive line is now on the short list for that Joe Moore Award. People, and it's for people who don't, and that comes from people who are voters who just look at like, well, look at what they've done. Like, look at Jonathan Brooks, who's come out of nowhere. Look at what they've done. Open up the holes for him, and they go to PFF and they see that I doubt the offensive line has allowed that many sacks. Compared to other teams. I don't look at what other teams do. I know that compared to previous Texas teams, this team, the offensive line is certainly not giving up sacks and pressures the way that it generally has. It just hasn't. Look at the snaps per disruption chart. It just hasn't. Right. So, for Texas fans, maybe that could be something that's a little bit, maybe almost a little bit scary, because you worry that Maalik goes in there, and if he doesn't look great, you're just like, well, things aren't going to get, they're not going to get better next year with the personnel around him. I mean, it's going to be cool to see, like, now we get Ryan Wingo. Hey, Ryan Wingo, right? We get Ryan Wingo. We get Jonte Cook. We get to see what DeAndre Moore looks like. Tight end will be a hole after JT Sanders, but shoot, I mean, Gunnar Helm's a good player. He's a good player. It'll be fine. The offensive line remains virtually intact, and I mean, some people will even get excited about the prospect of even though Christian Jones has been awesome, people will think, and I think rightfully so, that Cam Williams doesn't represent the giant drop off.
Yeah, Cam Williams, you got Brandon Baker showing up on campus.
Yep. Oh gosh, yeah. Don't even mention Baker. I still have it. Is he a spring enrollee? When are we going to find out about all this stuff?
Oh, Jason would probably know.
Yeah. I was even looking for Wingo earlier. Do we know whether he's an early enrollee? Wasn't his dad saying something afterwards about how he's going to sign and get right to school or something?
Well, his dad was alluding to the decision will come down to December signing day. So
it's not good. It's
not that it will, but that obviously indicates that he'll sign early.
Well, that was only because right. But
yeah,
that's only
cocky made me question by the reporter.
Like, well. These reporters are so cockamamie. Look, if he goes out there, because what Sark said today at his press conference, one of the things was, how do you get the new quarterback ready, and how do you make sure, like, is there anything special during the week you got to do and stuff? And he's like, man, like we do what we do. And like, as I'll go through the questions he was asked and kind of give you my thoughts about what they mean. But in short, that's what he said. It's like, if we're not going to be recruiting a guy to come to Texas if he can't do exactly what we want to do, so no, he said, we'll tailor some things around him. We'll try and make him comfortable. But he said the most important thing is that, he learned this week that the team is just really behind Maalik Murphy. They're excited about him. And I'll tell you this, man. If you guys go back and you watch, like, just go back and watch Nash's cut up of the game, right? And go to the point in the game after the big hit on Quinn Ewers, and where they pan to the sidelines. And I'll never forget it, where they show Maalik Murphy just warming up and throwing balls. And I was thinking to myself, oh man, okay, this game just went from hairy to just like one of these. I'm going to need a few, tequila shots like now, as opposed to wait until after the game. Like look right behind him to the guys on the sitting on the bench behind him, just watching him, so focused. It's Savion Red and it's Trey Wisner, and just look at the way that they look at him, and they're looking at him with like reverence and glee, and they're like smiling and stuff. And their quarterback just got hurt. Quinn Ewers just got hurt, and they're looking at him, and they're like saying, hey, look, they're pointing at him and stuff. That they're saying, look at Maalik, he's warming up and stuff. And he looks over at him, and they both have these big like smiles, and they can't believe it. Malik's about to go in, and they were excited for it. And Coach said earlier today, he said, one of the cool things, and one of the things that that you see when you see the team so excited for him is the fact that they all now take on a responsibility, right? They all now take on a responsibility, saying like, dude, I got to go out and do that for my quarterback. I can't let him down. Like, look at this spot he's in. Clearly he wants to be in that spot. If you got the baller gene, you want to be in the spot where you're getting the ball in your hands, and you're getting to, play in DKR in front of all these guys. You're QB1. You're QB1 this week. That's what you come to Texas to do. And of course, you don't want the starting quarterback to go down, and you want it to be that you're just the quarterback and everyone's healthy and it's fine. But hey, it's like you're QB1 right now. It's a big day. He's gonna have a lot of nerves, and I would anticipate maybe some nervous energy at first. You'd be great. He would be inhuman not to. Not inhuman. What is it? He wouldn't be a human being if he didn't feel some nerves. God, Blake, that's a great looking hat you got. That Football with Friends merch. What a nice one. I didn't know that we had a blue one like that.
Isn't it nice? The name.
Yeah. That's so.
It pairs well with the orange.
Yeah. But Sark said that when he feels the team beginning to take responsibility, like as a unit, for saying like, we got to step up for Maalik Murphy this week. Mm-hmm. And as Rich Harvey's saying, like he has his best day of practice.
What are the chances?
What?
I said, what are the chances he has his best day of practice this week, though? That's awesome to hear, but it's also like, Sark.
Well, I'll talk about it when I talk about Sark's availability. But dude, today at his availability, he was different than usual. He was.
That's interesting. Yeah, I want to hear more about his vibe. Overall vibe.
Much different.
Because usually you can learn a lot from that. With Sark over the years, we've been able to kind of tell, oh, maybe this week he's not, he's feeling a little different. Like they feel a little better. He feels like practice went really great this week, and other weeks not. Like, yeah, you can read that off of him.
And any coach worth his salt always going to say we had a great week of practice. That's their job to do.
Who was it last week that asked Sark if he
Bowles
asked if he ever had a bad practice?
Yeah, for sure. But so if and Chris Insane, so if the guys are stepping up for Murphy, they're not stepping up for Ewers. I don't think that's it. It's just like, sudden change.
I understand. If you follow Maalik Murphy through the recruiting process, this, but that guy just has an infectious personality that can't even be explained. Just being around him is like, whoa, like this guy is different.
But I think it's not even that. It's not because that implies that they like his personality more than they like Quinn's, which deep down they might, and people like certain people's personality.
He's a more extroverted. I think he's a more extroverted. This isn't a bash Quinn. I just think Maalik.
But I'm saying like that. People have different personalities and stuff like that, and obviously people are drawn to Maalik Murphy. He's like even Jason. He's Jason's favorite young teenage boy that he's ever communicated.
Well, and that's why, because through all those interviews, Maalik was so awesome to talk to and such a nice dude. Yeah, but it isn't. It isn't so much about they like it. I'm not saying that they like Maalik Murphy better than they like Quinn. That's not what I'm saying at all. It isn't about their personalities. It's not about any of it. It's about the fact that like
they're like, that's our guy. That's our quarterback. He's in a spot where he's got a lot of nerves. We probably know how that's going to be like. We're all going to be in that spot eventually. Like, we need to come to the rescue for him this week. We need to make sure he looks like we need to bring it this week. We're like, we got to be there for our guy. And so it feels like when you so take these things and stack them up. You have an entire team that is behind you, and an entire team that feels like they need to step up for you. Okay, you have the God-given athletic talents and the traits. You have the coaching from Sark. You have the ability to make all of the throws. You're going up against a defense that, if you attack them in rapid succession and don't give them a lot of time to adjust, they're not going to be able to do the number one thing that they would want to do to Maalik Murphy, which is have him make mistakes, get him up in his head, and then once they're up in his head, have a long time in between snaps where they can do things to confuse him and make him participate in the game the same way that they did last week with Strong from Texas Tech. That would be their dream come true. The reason why it's going to be hard is because you got to feel like Sark is going to have the things dialed up like we talked about. Play with some tempo, run the heck out of the ball, bruising up front, pee on the rug kind of stuff, right? You have the wide receivers that he has the week to hopefully generate a little bit of chemistry with, and maybe this is a week where we do see a little bit more Jonte Cook or this kind of stuff because he has had the second team reps with him so very often in practice this season. We saw that connection in the spring game. Obviously, there's something a little bit there. You have the best offensive line that I've seen at Texas since I started doing this professionally in 2013, charting every single play by every single offensive lineman, which we'll talk about here in the next couple of segments. The running backs, the tight ends, all these guys going to the NFL next year, everything, it's all stacked up. It is. If you're worried about Maalik Murphy this week, you're worried that he's going to go out there and fall on his face and do it singularly by himself, because what he's surrounded with, the attitude of the team, the feel of the team, the matchup, all of it is perfect. So we have a lot more to get to, and we're going to do that next.
Let's get to this super chat question because it's so generous of Agent Z, $5 super chat. We love that. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Morning, guys. Of the remaining games, which one is the least challenging and which one is the most? Let's start with you, Aaron.
Least challenging. I probably feel the best about Texas Tech at this point. They're on their third quarterback. They're kind of a mess. That game's at home. That's the last game. So, that's the best chance that we're going to have Quinn back at that point. So I would definitely say Tech for the least challenging. Most challenging, I think you got to say Kansas State right now. I know that's a home game, but the beatdown that they just put on TCU, I just don't think I can say TCU would be more difficult than Kansas State, especially since Kansas State is next week, probably going to have Maalik for that one. So that's going to be a test because Kansas State, they've switched up their quarterback situation. They've got a little bit more juice there all of a sudden. So the defense is going to have to play well in that Kansas State game, or else Texas is going to have its handful, even though the game's a DKR.
Yeah, those are the two I was just going to go with too. I think Texas Tech they're a beat up bad team right now.
Yeah,
frankly, and I mean it's a little. It's a little tricky being the final game of the season, but I don't think so. I'm not worried about Tech in the least. And Kansas State, especially now that they've figured out Avery Johnson, Will Howard combo, because, look, I came into the season saying I thought Will Howard was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. He struggled. He has not lived up to that billing at all. So I really thought it was going to be that, but Avery Johnson has come in and become the running quarterback and has given that team life. They've since his insertion into the lineup, they're looking very strong. They're looking like the team I expected them to be because I predicted K-State to be in the Big 12 championship game against Texas.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Oh, yes. Football with friends is fun as hell, man. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. So happy for Specs as we're talking today about our favorite cocktail over here. I think Cody says that his favorite cocktail is the Alfred Collins. a carton of milk, a cup of Bailey's, and a sack. Yeah, I mean, at least he finally got the sack, right? You love to see that. Let's see, but yeah, for Specs, I'm sure you could go over there and ask them for an Alfred Collins. I think that they'd be like, "Do you mean a Tom Collins?" You're like, "No, an Alfred Collins, man."
Alfred Collins,
right there on the back of the milk carton. There was somebody talking about a Texas Mule. That's good stuff, man. Do you know what that is, Blake?
No, what is that?
It's just it's a Moscow Mule, but it has tequila instead of vodka.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Good stuff. Comes in that kind of silver cup, or the goblet, whatever they kind of call that thing. Let's see. Again, man, so good to see you guys here in the chat as always. The text guy said, "Damn, I'm betting the spread after all this talk," or "Dang, I'm betting the spread after all this talk." Well, I'm not sure about that. Spread's kind of big. I'm just saying it's got to be a great spot, right? It's got to be a great spot for Maalik Murphy, and there hasn't been a quarterback at Texas since I've been doing this that's stepped up into it. Just feels like it's a feathery, soft spot to fall into. And
it's up to 19, by the way. The spread.
Let's just look at the old cockamamie PFF green line. Oh, by the way, I got an email the other day saying that my new Football with Friends cockamamie T-shirt was indeed shipping. I wonder if it's going to come in today. If it comes in today, if I get a notification it comes in during the show, I'll go out and get it and put it on. So I could be sporting some merch too. Okay. Yep. It's up to 19. Oh gosh. So look at this. So now we're at 56% of the tickets are on BYU, but still
56?
but still 93% of the cash.
Oh,
so
wow.
we have sharp money coming in on BYU and the line. Do you guys understand how weird this is? So just think about it, okay?
Texas has been involved in so many weird lines this season. I swear.
Texas was 17.5-point favorites. Okay. Money B, nothing like a good margarita. Oh my gosh. You're so right, brother.
Spot on.
Just tell them to go easy on the sweet and sour, right? Texas. Okay. So let's just think about this. So the line was at 17.5 whenever we had on Wednesday. Was that Tuesday or Wednesday? So we started tracking it Tuesday, right?
Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay. So the line was 17.5. Yesterday gets to 18. Was it 8? Was it still 18.5? Yes. No, it wasn't. It was still at 17.5 yesterday.
Yep. Today
it goes to 18.5 earlier this morning. We were doing the Prize Picks show. And then now it's at 19. Okay. So what do you think that means? It obviously means that, of course, you think they're like, we want more money on, we want more money on BYU, right? We want to make it less appealing to bet on Texas. We want to make it less appealing because, golly, if you're the sports book, you're like, golly, this is a lot of life. Oh, Bob, 93% of the cash is on BYU.
Early in the week, it was 99.
Say, what if Texas?
What is happening?
It's like Bob. What do we do? What if Texas wins? Don't we want even money on both sides? Like, what are we doing here? What if What if Texas beats them by 3 touchdowns? What are we going to do then? We're going to lose all the money. We need to even up these. We need to even up these picks. We need more pick. We need an even number of money on each side, right? Who cares about the number of picks? It's like some guys could have little bets over here, big bets over here. I don't care. But Bob, get it. I'm just calling Bob. Bob, get in here. Change this line. Like, I don't care what they say at Caesars. Like, we're going to get swindled. But look, it's the opposite. What's happening is they have all the money on BYU, 93% of the cash, and this is obviously a heavily bet game. All the money on BYU. 56% of the tickets are on BYU. It's a minority of bettors who are even on Texas. It's 44% of the bettors only, and these are little rinky-dink bettors betting $5, $10, all this stuff, right? It's only what 8%, 7% of the money. 44% of the 44% of bettors that are betting on Texas, the Texas backers in this thing, have put up a grand total of 7% of the money to the casinos. So why aren't they saying, let's make this thing like Texas minus 14? We got to go through 14 to get it to 13.5. How do we get more Texas money in here? But they're not. They're going the other way. It's a reverse line move. Which
they want more bets on BYU. Keep it coming. Pour it on.
which
all your
obviously
BYU money.
which is so crazy to me. Whenever you think about it, this is the first Texas game where, and it just goes to show how square the rational mind is, right? Like I'm in my circuit contest with Siege, right? And it's always his galaxy brained, idiotic, terrible plays that are the ones. And it's the same thing when I look at Mitch's algo picks for the NFL, right? And I'm just looking at him like, how on earth? What? Like the algo tonight has Tampa Bay beating. They're playing Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
It has Tampa Bay beating Buffalo outright. I'm just like, well, that's an idiot computer. Like that doesn't make any sense. It's like that's a little robot. It doesn't know what it's talking about.
As soon as he said, what was it, 3 weeks ago? He picked the Giants on that Thursday night game.
That's the kind of thing. Well, that's the kind of thing that the algo does. It's the kind of thing that Siege always wants to bet on. I'm like, no, it doesn't make sense. He's like, well, that's why you're a square, and that's why you don't do well in DFS tournaments, and that's why you do so well in DFS cash games. You always be like you look at the and you do the analysis, you analyze the numbers, you do what makes sense. You do what makes sense. And like, I use common sense. That makes me a square. He's like, yes. I'm just like, oh, well, so what do you want me to be a lunatic, psycho, sociopath? He's like, well, no, you got to think about this stuff differently. But to me, it's like, maybe I'm just too square to figure out, like, why are they not trying to get more? Why is the line going the opposite direction?
I have no idea.
Because it doesn't. It just doesn't make any sense.
Team totals: Texas 34.5, BYU 14.5. Like
Tedapir won. The spread in line is making me feel great, kind of like someone who has a house to sell and calls Val Garcia. Hey, that does make you feel great. Val Garcia.
Val Garcia.
Look at him and Val Garcia and Val and Realty. But But hey, look. This is not the scheduled time for a Val Garcia ad, but we love Val so much that we're gonna give him all the pub that we possibly can. Okay. Do you guys want to just look at Prize Picks and just look and look at these initial numbers?
We can do that.
I'd like to maybe put in something I can get with Jonathan Brooks right now with that more on the on the receiving yards. And the reason why I like that is I was talking about on the Prize Picks show. You guys might have seen it. I mean, Jay Brooks, I haven't double like. Did he have 8? It was 8 targets last week. You know,
I heard you say that, and I don't think it registered with anybody else. I was like, 8 targets.
He had like a 31% target share, and you got to figure that with Maalik Murphy, them trying to kind of get him, Maalik Murphy trying to get that guy going a little bit, giving him some high percentage stuff. Oh gosh, look, there's a discounted play on Damian Lillard. What is he hurt or something? I don't know anything about basketball, but maybe I'll just take that.
Man, they keep getting burned on these discounted NBA plays.
Yeah, but I mean, look, it's just, but his original projection is 27 points.
Oh, 27. Okay, 31% off. Yeah, that's a good deal then. That's
Hold on, let me get my Roto Grinder stuff up, and I'll see if they got some projections here to see if
they're going to project him like 17 points.
Yeah, well, sometimes that's the case, right?
I see it a lot, man. These discounts and these tacos are a little sketchy sometimes.
Let me see if I can just redo it here. So let you guys see the Roto Grinders premium extensions, if it's going to end up working for me here. So they haven't projected 25.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's a good play then for sure.
Okay. And then so what I'm going to do here is go to the CFB and just look at, so I'll just, how do you get the text? You just type in TEX?
Yep. And you'll get the A&M plays too, but you get all the Texas plays.
They have ad and I project. I didn't know I got college football projections in this thing too. Look at this projection that they have on Jay Brooks. 153.05.
That's what oh man, that's what Darwin Lemon said earlier in the chat. He said he was going to go for 150.
Jonathan Brooks, they only have him projected for 13.12 receiving yards. Oh man, I know he's going to go over one of those things.
Darwin says 150 total, 130 rushing, 40 receiving. All right, Darwin, that was his call.
What did Darwin say? Darwin Lemon say about?
Well, he was just projecting.
I know, but,
over 150 total yards for Jay Brooks in the game.
Well, but yeah, but Darwin, what's the best? You're the. I trust you about Jonathan Brooks more than anybody else.
I think Darwin says more.
I think the rushing plus receiving is the good one, right? That way I can fall into it either way.
I think they all hit, but yeah, you have a back door on the rushing plus receiving for sure.
Yeah, I mean he might go 128, regardless. Can I only bet 20 on these discounted plays?
Probably so.
Let me just see.
What the top limit is. It's either 20 or 25.
Max entry's 25. Okay.
25.
All right. See if I can make a quick $75 there on that one. There we go. All right. So got a little prize picks in. We'll get to Thursday Night Football prize picks here in a minute. But I think that that might have been bad to do the. I really like the receiving one, just because it makes all the sense to me in the world. But then again, I should listen to Siege when it makes sense. You shouldn't always do it. We're talking about DFS.
A lot of times it makes sense and then it hits too.
Yeah. Okay, so Sark today at his availability. Can you believe that? Is this true? It's the first game of DKR in a month. First game in a month. Huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of moving parts this week in practice with players banged up. Of course, most notably at quarterback. He said it was cool that he felt like the team did. First, let me talk about Sark's demeanor today. Happy, laid back, jokey Sark.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Jokey with the media, Sark. I'm not sure that we've really seen that one so far. Certainly not before. Certainly not before OU.
Nope.
Kind of not before. Kind of not like last week. He got a little bit nippy with some people last week. Today, kind of laughing, joking around with everybody. He said that somebody asked him, someone finally asked about Maalik Murphy. Like, is he definitely the starter? Have we named him the starter? Where are we with that? And he's like, well, I was going to say it at the beginning, but I wanted to play a little game with you guys to see how many questions you were going to ask before you got to that one. And
that's an Orange Bloods bit. We're the ones who usually try to predict how many questions it takes to get something asked.
Yeah. But he said it took 3 questions. I can't believe it took that long. I can't believe I got you guys. So he's here kind of having fun. And he didn't say anything about an intense week of practice or, man, the guys are out there. It's been a good, hard physical week. Guys playing. He didn't say any of that stuff. He was just talking about how, it was a week where he really loved the way that the team was. He said he kind of came into the week thinking that everybody was just going to be, all eyes on Arch and on Maalik, is kind of stepping into these roles, seeing how they're looking and stuff. He's like, the guys are interested. They're interested. It's their football team. I mean, it's the quarterback. It's not just us that sits around interested about this stuff.
Yeah.
A bunch of these, dude. What do you know? A lot of people probably don't realize that a bunch of players are on Orange Bloods.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like they absolutely are, and they'll kind of I mean, I know that they are because whenever I was and sometimes I might just do this in the future. Like sometimes, like there have been guys in the past who are still on there now that I still stay in contact with, who maybe I did a recruiting profile on them. One of the things that you do is during the time of year where it's like May and it's a little spring football is over and you're about to get into the doldrums of the summer, and the next big thing that's going to happen is the new crop of true freshmen reporting to camp, right? That's the next big thing. Then after that there's really not much to report on other than the recruiting camps and what happens with the coaches and who they're traveling to go recruit before the dead period hits and all this stuff like this. And Anwar and I used to do this thing where we would for the summer enrollees, because what happens whenever they get to campus is Bianco gets his hooks in them, and they're not allowed to talk to media ever again, right? The players, you guys might not know this, but players on the Texas football team are not allowed to talk to media outside of the times that they're provided by the sports information department. It's not just a no-no. It's ever since I've been covering the team. I'm sure ever since Ketch has been covering the team. It probably goes back to even before Bianco. Like it's just, and that's one that I can understand, right? You don't want your players talking to media outside of the stuff that you can at least, kind of be there, be around, kind of oversee, make sure nothing steps out of bounds, gets weird, in the
Well,
NFL,
that was kind of the backbone of why we at Orange Bloods tried to do the NIL deals with the players, where we got to talk to them during the season.
Well, it was the first time that
it was the first time it had ever happened.
Right.
It was really interesting. That season kind of went off the rails, and they lost 6 in a row, and it didn't feel right to keep those guys locked into that deal. But it was a really eye-opening experiment we kind of did with those guys.
Yeah. And what was eye-opening is that people didn't watch.
Yeah.
Catch did this big NIL thing where he's like, dude, we're gonna, he's like, it's the Wild West. Like, I don't care. We'll figure out a way to get these guys on and stuff. It's like it's gonna break the internet, and it wasn't quite as popular as people thought it would be. For some, we would have those things, and was it Destiny, the girl? I forget.
Serenity Douglas.
Serenity. She did a good job. Like I watched those videos because I wanted the inside on the players and stuff. But
she did a great job getting the personal side of things out of those guys.
Right. But then you would see us, like, we put up the modcast and it would get like 10 times the views. So But what Anwar and I would do in May before Bianco gets his hooks in these guys and says that you can't talk to him anymore, is we would do like the recruiting profiles on them. We call and would do like long form articles about kind of their background, get their backstories. They were actually cool articles, and the one thing it also did is it kind of got you familiarized with these guys. And so over the course of a lot of these dudes, by the time that they got out and they were in the NFL draft and stuff, like, I would still have their numbers from back when they were these teenage boys that I was calling them up, right? Yeah. And I could call them and talk draft stuff with them and and things like that if they turned out to be good. But there were at least 2 of those dudes who I did their profiles, and I would put them up and I'd tweet them out and stuff like that. And they'd see that I tweeted them, and they text me. They'd be like, "Hey man, like, I can't see this. It's behind a paywall." And like, we would just comp them subscriptions and stuff. And so, like, I'm sure Jason's done that.
To this day, Quandre Diggs is still on Orange Bloods, like 5 or 6 days out of the week. Like,
But the thing about it is like, these guys, the main point is these guys are just as interested in what's going on, like, as interested as the fans.
They are watching the quarterback situation for sure.
And they'll sign up for things like Orange Bloods just to kind of keep up with what people are saying about the dudes and all they're big fans of the team. And so Sark's like, man, I was surprised. Like, everybody was off doing their business, especially the dudes who were the ones who were trying to get back from injury. And we'll talk about those guys in just 1 minute. I think I saw
Jeff Marr, $20. Thanks, dude.
Jeff Marr. Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you so much. 1999 super chat. Who has to step up this week on defense and offense? So offense or offensive line? Maybe just offense. I believe Maalik will have a big day passing. Love the show. Need to get Jason on here with you guys. Yeah, one of the I'll answer that second part first about Jason. Just a little peek behind the curtain here. I am. You guys know that I tell you that I'm terrible at sales because I hate asking people for stuff. I just do. I'm not a guy that likes to. Yeah. My business partner Byron is just so good at just asking people for money, and it's like that's what Jerry Jones always says. If you want to be good, if you want to be good at sales, just ask people for money. It's like you have to get comfortable with that. For some reason, I've never been that comfortable with that. Speaking of sales, by the way, if any of you would like to sponsor the show, you can email me, alex@rosterwatch.com, and see what a horrible salesman I am. But the thing which I hate to bug people. Like, I hate to ask Jason to come on because I feel like he comes on all the other shows and stuff, and it's like, you know what I mean?
I guess feel like Jason always has a sick kid or a car crash or something or other he's dealing with. And
yeah, man. But I need to make
household is wild. There's always a tornado going through there.
But I'll make a point to start asking him to come on more because I do love talking recruiting and everything. And certainly I don't have the wealth of knowledge that he does about what these guys are thinking and everything like that. My job during recruiting season is more just like, okay, where's the team? What does the personnel look like? What's the level of talent at this various positions?
Evaluation.
And then exactly. I love going to camps and just watching them. right? Just going to camps and seeing like, oh gosh, how this skill set could affect the football team and all the rest. So I will have Jason on for those kinds of conversations in the off season a lot more often for sure. The thing is, do you know what the thing too is like, it's like the pool of people that we're able to kind of have on here is a little bit smaller because it isn't like we're going to have somebody on from a competitor site. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I think Jason understands that if we're going to talk recruiting, he'll be the guy that we call. But I'll certainly take that into consideration, brother. And then who has to step up this week on offense and defense? Okay, I think on offense, step up. Christian Jones needs to play a better game this week than he played last week. He needs to step back up into that kind of role. He's going to be facing number 92, Tyler Batty, a whole lot. I don't worry as much about Batty's athleticism or his bend as much as I just do his maniacal effort. He's got a motor straight from you know what. It's going to be a deal where Christian Jones he needs to not. He was playing last week a little bit. It was just I guess the word that keeps coming to my mind is just a tiny bit sloppy last week. Like we haven't really seen from him in the past. He wasn't getting to the proper depth in his drops. It wasn't, I mean, U of H did have one decent edge guy, right? And it wasn't like he was giving Christian Jones problems, but he was not dropping to proper depth. Christian Jones, gosh, man, those Big 12 refs, they certainly didn't. They let Christian Jones off with some holds and stuff. He needs to step up this week. But I think that the obvious answer has got to be Jay Brooks. I mean, just take the pressure off Maalik Murphy. Go and please go get 128.5 total rushing plus receiving yards. But yeah, man. The run game. It would be nice to have a Jay Brooks, CJ Baxter 1-2 punch this week, just to really just keep the defense on their heels, make sure that they can't start doing this stuff where they're going to say we're going to make Maalik Murphy just a full-time on the dot participant, because like Sark said, the players are mature. And he didn't, as your coach speak whisper, let me just say what he meant by saying they play really good schemes, right? There's, like I was saying this yesterday. I'm not saying I told you so, but I'm just saying. They're a BYU defense. They're mature. They're kind of older dudes. They're smart. They talk to each other. They communicate. Get them on their heels, man, and where they're just kind of like they're sucking wind, getting this ball run down their throat. These monsters on the Texas offensive line. Jay Brooks, like a battering ram, pit bull. Like, spell him with a CJ Baxter. I think the running game needs to step up, man. As far as
for sure, and I think Jay Brooks in the receiving game needs to be the safety valve for sure too. If Maalik's under pressure, you need to tell him just, hey, find Jay Brooks, dump him the ball, like no matter what.
Matthew Smith, Alex is absolutely. I'm not saying I told you so. I'm just saying.
I thought you were gonna say, yeah. And I told you so, but I effing told you so. That's what it sounded like you were gonna say.
The on defense, who needs to step up? Oh, dude.
88.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean he does. He had a great game last week though, man. Do you know who didn't? Tavondre Sweat. He needs to take a step back. Like Tavondre Sweat needs to take that same step back. Like he needs to step up back to where he was, like the Christian Jones. He needs to take that Christian Jones step. Alfred Collins, of course. That's still an injury situation that we'll need to monitor. The Sark will be monitoring. That we're going to monitor. We'll get back to that here in a second because it's kind of a little bit nebulous and something that we're going to have to just follow until tomorrow. But I think, and then, the safeties, they need to, I don't think they're going to be put in the same impossible situations that they were last week, but you'd like to see Derek Williams. You'd like to see Jaron Thompson. Gosh, man. I mean, Keaton Crawford just needs to play better. I'd like to see him play less, but I think Derek Williams could step up and have a good game. The linebackers, like a little dude, the whole defense.
The whole defense. You could pick any of them, really.
Yeah. The linebackers need to do better with their zone drops, and I don't know if that was coaching or whether that was them it couldn't have just been them messing up. That was schematic last week. What happened there in the second half with all the crossing routes and stuff, and that was all this. We just discussed that stuff ad nauseum. I'm sure you guys hear me talk about these 3 hole drops for these linebackers much more. You start banging your head against your keyboards. Okay, so back to but thank you very much for the super chat there. Jared Mulholland says Barron Sorrell needs to up the ante. I know we increased defensive productivity across the D line, but Barron's been very quiet, excluding last weekend. Yeah, I mean, you want him to get double-digit sacks. I think that double-digit sacks is probably out the window by now.
That's probably out of the picture at this point. But even 6 or 7 sacks would be huge for this team.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, it's one thing about Barron Sorrell that I will say is that if you just look, just some of the stuff about him as far as how he's trending, he's one of these guys that's actually trending in a positive way, at least, right? If I pull up the deep dig here and just show you, so this is snaps per production caused over the course of the season. Now, not per game, right? But at the end of each one of these games, where do they sit on the season? If that makes sense, right? It's not. So it wasn't like versus Rice. Gavin Holmes generated production once every 13.12 snaps, and versus Alabama, he only did once every 39.55 snaps. The aggregate of these 2 games is what this number is. Then the aggregate of these 3 games is what this number is. It's meant just to show us how these dudes are trending, right? Barron Sorrell, I mean, he starts out here at 20. And then down to 13, and now he's been hanging out here kind of at this, 9.3 to 9.4 to 11 to 10.65. That's that many snaps. He's now generating production. And yeah, last week, what do you have? Like 3 quarterback pressures. He had a quarterback hit. No, I believe it. Yeah, it was no Barron. I think I had that written down. No Barron Sorrell hit. Right. That was no Barron Sorrell hit. No Michael Taft interception. Right. So, I mean, you got to see him a little bit. A lot of these guys need to step up. Collins needs to step up. Yeah. I mean, he just does. He's been needing to step up all year. All right.
Jalen Ford, honestly. I mean, we can go on. He's not playing at the level he was last year.
Dude, that's actually probably almost the best one.
Because if he's playing like he played last year, this is a really stout Texas defense, regardless of how the rest of the guys are faring.
Yeah.
They're such a dominant force.
Somebody's asking who has the most sacks. I don't know, I'll look at it. I think 3 is the most anybody has. Anthony Hill has 3. What does Ethan Burke have?
He's probably at 3. I mean, he was strong early.
No, I have him at 2, but there was the one that the university counted as the 3rd that I had as the TFL. So what does UT have him at? Hold on. Yeah, so UT has him at 3. I don't think it was I thought it was a TFL.
Regardless, the leader in sacks should be at 5 or 6 at least at this point in the season. Like,
absolutely, yeah, they're not getting to the quarterback, but I mean,
they're getting there, but they're not bringing them down.
Barron Sorrell's gotten 11 pressures, two quarterback hits. Some of the, Byron Murphy's had eight pressures, 3 hits. But yeah, so Barron Sorrell does lead the team in pressures. I can't believe that Byron Murphy's second on the team in pressures. What a bulldog he is, man. What a bulldog that guy is. Okay. So we have all the Sark stuff to get to. I haven't even done the offense. I haven't done the offensive line grades yet. What about the call for public comment about the chronic wasting disease and the new carcass disposal rules? Blake, can you believe that? Like, they're talking about a new carcass disposal rule that's going to affect you and me. Like, even if you're not in a CWD detection zone. So we're going to talk about all that, man. And we're going to get to it next.
Well, kind of along the lines that he was talking about, and the easy question would be asking about receivers in the NFL and who did this or who did that. But I want to go to the other side. Which quarterback did you face off against, or quarterbacks that read the line better? That y'all had something dialed up, a corner blitz or something, and you got Peyton Manning going, said G's coming, and ruining the play before it starts. Who were the quarterbacks that just pissed you off?
Man, it's hard. I mean, it's only one person, and I'd say, I mean, honestly, and nothing against the Manning brothers, but
you can say me. You can say me. It's fine.
The Manning brothers. I mean, they wouldn't. The thing about them was, as long as you can hold your disguise, you could trick them. Like they couldn't. I mean, they were really, really good at just like identifying one person, because they probably studied the film so much that they understood everybody's movements. So if one person will move in our secondary, they would know our defense. So like we used to always, for the Mannings, we used to always kind of wait till like 5 seconds to move if we would disguise it. But from once that play clock started, we stayed like in a cross look and just stayed there. And we made life difficult for those two players. So the only guy I'm gonna tell you, man, is freaking Tom Brady. And I don't like saying his name because like he always gets the glory for every damn thing, but it's him. I mean, I'm just honest. I mean, honest. It was him, man. Like we couldn't do nothing when we played him. Like he figured everything out, and I don't know how he did it. And he every game he played, he's always done that. So he knows something that no one else knows, and he's not telling anyone either.
He's a Michigan man. He learned under Harbaugh. They had a fan in the stand recording the play sheets Harbaugh, in advance. That's how Brady did it.
Harbaugh. There, I said it twice.
Oh my goodness.
That's how he did it.
That's what it was. It was Brady, man, and he was just really good, man. He was really good. He understood everything, you know.
Oh, yeah. Football with Friends is fun as hell and usually family friendly, except when we play clips from other shows.
The Outsiders specifically.
Very sorry about any kids that might have been in the car for that. Football with Friends. Our guarantee is that it's always a family friendly show that you can listen with your kids and stuff. And I don't think that they would have noticed that little
No, I didn't hear anything.
That one little cuss word. Right, that's fine. It's just fine. They've heard. Well, I don't know if they've heard worse. So we have the rest of the Sark availability to get to. He said some what I think are some important things, and there's no more important thing than making sure that you save money whenever you're selling your home. And the guy that's going to do that for you is Val Garcia. ValenRealty.com. Have you heard about it? Because if you work in education or in the ministries, he's going to sell your house for free. Okay. But listen, if you just tell him that you heard about, just like I'm stumbling up on my words, just looking at that smile on Val Garcia's face. Just look at this guy. Look at Val Garcia. That's the smile of a man that's going to sell your house in the DFW area, anywhere in the DFW area. That's the smile of a man that's top 25% as far as realtors in the DFW area. That's the smile of a man who gave up on $65,000 of commissions last year because he was doing the good work of selling homes for free for educators and members of the ministry. But if you tell him that you are a listener of Football with Friends, he will sell your house for half price, and that's anywhere in the DFW area. So it's a two banger, right? You get to meet Val, you get to be friends with Val, one of the coolest men in the world. Who else climbs up trees and gets like traditional bow and arrow recurve and baits black bears to climb up the tree at him and shoots down the tree with a bow and arrow. Right? This is the kind of man that we're talking about here. Daring man. And you would be daring not to use him. And you'd be crazy not to let your friends in the DFW area know that Val Garcia will sell their house for free or for half price if you let him know that you heard about him on Football with Friends. Can we get Val on football? I'm sure. Yes. I'd love to get Val on. I was texting with him. Just yesterday. And thanks to you guys who have reached out to Val Garcia. He said he was so tilted. He was on a Zoom call. He couldn't see the show yesterday whenever Wingo committed, but he said he would have never thought in a million years that Texas was getting Wingo. That's the smile of a man that just got Ryan Wingo right. golly, can you believe the whole Ryan Wingo thing? I still can't believe it.
It was just so wild how it played out over the last 48 hours.
But
and how it was all Mizzou, and there was like, oh, Texas, and then the last second, maybe Mizzou.
Don't you remember there was a point in time, Blake, earlier in the season? I forget after what game it was, but we kind of got some intel that something might have kind of gone down with Wingo, and then it went quiet again. I'm wondering if maybe that was just it's kind of always been in the always been the deal.
I know they had stories loaded up in the admin months ago.
Yeah,
and then that faded, and it was like, oh, Mizzou is actually surging here.
Yeah, I think it kind of always might have. I don't know. It's just we kind of forgot about it. Tyler Finley asked, Wingo comp more to AJ Brown or Jamar Chase? Much more to AJ Brown.
You'll find out in the next break what they think on that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So is that from yesterday? Yeah,
the Alex and Catch conversation exactly.
That was the exact same thing that we did, right? Okay. Oscar Elizondo with a super chat. Let's see here.
Football with Friends connections are on par with University of Texas connections. Absolutely.
I like my Football with Friends crew a lot more than I like the crew that I ran around with at UT. Man, a lot of these guys have moved up to Philadelphia and become giant carpetbaggers. I'm serious, dude. I have friends now who are like who are just the biggest. Like they two friends that moved up to Philadelphia after college of all places, and they were both like my fraternity brothers. And they now it's like they're just acting like when they talk about the Eagles and stuff, or the Phillies, or weren't the Sixers doing something a few years back and stuff. They say like we're gonna do this. I'm like, what do you mean we? It's like you're just taking up the team now. They're like, yeah, man. Like I'm just like, no. Your kids can say we because they lived there their whole life. You can't just pick up and
just
become.
Just in case our boss is watching, I love the Phillies. The Philadelphia Phillies are a wonderful team. I was so sad that they lost.
Like, what's all this wee stuff, man? You got a mouse in your pocket? My gosh. But who beat the Phillies? The Arizona Diamondbacks?
Yeah. Rangers, Diamondbacks in the World Series.
Do they not split up? And thank you so much for the super chat.
Appreciate it,
Oscar Elizondo, one of the greats. Do they not split it up into East and West or something? I know it's NL and AL, but don't they just try when they try and make it to where it's like these teams are kind of close? Why is Arizona and Philly playing each other?
It's just NL and AL. So there's the divisions, but the Diamondbacks are a wild card team, so they weren't necessarily in the same division. They wouldn't be in the same division round. No, it's not really region locked, I would say.
So it's like NFC and AFC, right? Okay.
Well, like there are divisions.
It's just like the Eagles. This won't happen this year, but it's like the Eagles playing the Cardinals in the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
Because they generally have like the AL. What is it? The AL Central, AL North, AL West.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. I mean, the Rangers are in the AL West. That's the only one I know.
Okay.
But yes, they are
clearly. I don't follow MLB baseball.
The divisions are regional, but it doesn't really matter that much once it's in the playoffs.
I wonder if I could name every MLB team without just sight unseen. If you told me how many there were, if I could name them all, I'll bet you I could. That's not something that the before
what segment today was
before you turn
naming every MLB team.
Again, guys, if you could please remember to like the show and subscribe to the channel. I have it written up here at the very top. That's the first time I've asked today, but it definitely helps us out a whole lot.
Please like the video.
It's free to like the show. It's free to subscribe. I know some people say that that they worry about subscribing, but it's not like you don't get a YouTube bill for subscribing or anything. It lets you know. Well, I just know that we have some older gentlemen and ladies in the chat, and there was an older gentleman who was asking me the other day if subscribing costs any money. So that's why I'm always saying it is indeed free.
100% free.
Okay.
And on to the NHL, Alex.
Tyler Finley, back to football, please. He just wants me to answer his fantasy question. I'll get back to you about the fantasy question whenever
Alex will get back to you. He won't leave it in his inbox for a week.
Well, now you're going to make me just have to pull it up here. We remind me to pull up Tyler Finley's trade question.
I will. We'll do it before the end of the show.
Because I most certainly will forget.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Back to the Longhorns.
Yeah. Okay. So just a couple more things from the press conference. And we'll talk about this offensive line that actually played well. They played well. It's so good to see Hayden Connor just back playing like Hayden Connor. I knew he was hurt, man. I knew he was hurt. Okay. So Chip Brown finally did the good work for the people, asking, he's like, okay, can you just tell me about these guys? Alfred Collins, Ryan Watts, Cole Hudson, Terrence Brooks, Gavin Holmes, right? It's like, all right, man, thank you, Chip. Like, you know,
There we go, Chip.
Because well, here's the thing. I mean, I think it's the worst thing in the world whenever reporters just say something like, Coach, can you give us an injury rundown? Then you give the coach the easy out.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh yeah, well, you know, Quinn, he's doing good spirits. We got a couple guys, we're getting them back, but feel good about things. And yeah, it's just a good hard week of practice. I'm really happy with how those guys look. You know, like Chip was actually specific, at least. If it would have been me, I would have said, Coach, can we just go one by one with these guys? And I say, all right, out Collins. And then you have him that would have been the best way to do it. But Chip did the second best way, because what Sark did is he lumped them all together and said basically something like I just said. But I think context and my coach speak whisper epic abilities. He just said that. He says there'll be he says that he thinks all those guys will be available. He says that there are differing levels, but all of those guys will be available for the game. He's usually true whenever he talks about that. Darwin Lemon's asking if anybody asked about Christopher Ross. No. And I wouldn't have done it either. He was in a good mood today, man. Like I wouldn't have wanted to do that, because he's not going to tell you. But like what I can tell you is I don't know what happened either, but I just know that it was quote something that needed to happen. So if it's something that needed to happen, it's like
that's really all you need to know. Once that is said, it's like, oh, okay,
yeah, and that's from a good source. Like it's something that needed to happen. He answered about Hall,
Ajayi
Hall. Oh, I was like, golly, Hall. Who are we talking about? Ajayi Hall. I can't believe how many people just jumped all over me for saying Ajayi Hall was not going to. He wasn't even going to see the field. He wasn't even going to see the field at Texas. Like, are you kidding me? He's going to be like, okay. So all those guys are going to be available. So what does that mean? Alfred Collins, Ryan Watts, Terrence Brooks, Gavin Holmes. So if they have all the corners back, that's obviously good. Obviously, you get Ryan Watts back as the boundary corner and is the best corner for the whole team. If you have all those guys available, maybe it's like there might have been a guy on the internet yesterday or the day before yesterday, the whole Ryan Wingo Wednesday, saying that Jade Barron should play outside corner. I don't know who that guy was. I'm not exactly sure what happened with that whole thing. I mean, whoever said that's probably too cockamamie. But I'm not sure that
this whole show is just a whole bunch of I told you so.
I'm not sure Jade Barron is going to need to move outside if they do have all those dudes. I'll tell you this though, man. I don't think it would be the worst thing for a game if those guys are, because what he said is he's going to be monitoring them. They're all at differing levels, and he says he liked how all of them looked, but he's going to be monitoring them pregame. And he thinks they're going to be available. He's going to be monitoring the pregame and then end game. So with the pregame stuff, it means to me there's probably at least one of them that that's maybe more of a true game time decision. One or two of those five out of course Alfred Collins, the defensive lineman, Ryan Watts, the starting boundary corner, Cole Hudson, backup right guard, backup center, Terrence Brooks, boundary and field corner, Gavin Holmes, field corner. Those five guys, I'll bet you that a couple of them might be true game time decisions. I don't feel like Watts will be. I kind of don't think Collins will be, right? Just based on how that thing looked. Brooks and Holmes, I don't really know, and Hudson is just completely up in the air. I mean, Hudson was dressed last week. He was dressed. He just wasn't going to play, right? So. I think he'll probably be good. So that's where we are as far as the injuries with those guys. what have you seen from Maalik Murphy this week was one of the questions. And, that was the thing where he just said, like, what are you seeing? And, and what have you learned this week about Arch and Maalik? And it's funny, man. It's funny. All these, we're not going to see Arch Manning. I don't think we're going to see much of Arch Manning, because what he did say was that it was like every question that was asked in reference to Maalik and Arch was always like, oh, Maalik was this and this and this and this and this and this, and then question it, answer over. Not much about Arch. Somebody finally did pin him down and say, are you planning on playing both guys? Like, is there a situation where we could see both? And this is it. Blake, do you think we'll see Specs chat line, Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods, right? Where you can go to get these Texas mules or these great, these great favorite cocktails.
Maybe some spooky Halloween concoctions.
Do you know my favorite cocktail?
What is it?
It's Casamigos, and it's just a Casamigos ranch water.
Okay.
Delicious. I think it's low in calories too. Isn't tequila calorie free?
Oh, good question.
It's got to be.
I don't pay attention to calories.
Me, I'm in great shape, dude. I'm strong like bull. It's got to be calorie free, right? I know Topo Chico is. You could tell I'm a real calorie counter around here, but people are gonna say like, no, each shot's got 500 calories, Alex, or something. It's like worse,
the most calories.
It's like worse than a Snickers bar. No. Okay, but he was at. So he said Maalik Murphy will start the game, but he hasn't made a decision if Arch will get in. He says we have discussed it. We have discussed it. But we have to do what's in the best interest of the team. However, I do see value in doing it. Do you think that he'll put in Arch?
Depends on the game situation. I feel like if they're up by more than the spread towards the end of the game, we might see a package with it, just to test the waters. Arch hasn't seen the field at all, really.
But only if so, not in a real game situation. It's not
in my opinion. I don't think so. I could be wrong. He could have a special package for Arch. I don't see that happening.
Wouldn't that be, dude? Talk about fun as hell. Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be fun as hell.
Just to if he had just one where Arch comes in third series or something like that, completely, and even if Maalik's playing good, right, and just gets him in there, has some kind of thing that he has dialed up for Arch Manning. I think
you try to figure out what would he dial up? What is Arch good at? And compared to the other quarterbacks, Arch is the best running quarterback, but you don't want to risk running him.
It would just freak everybody out.
Yeah,
I think it would be worth it. The reason I think it would be awesome is they just got that Jay Hill over there, just saying like, what's his name? Coach Sataki's is it Jay Hill, his defensive coordinator, the one that was with them under Whittingham? I think it's Jay Hill. Just to see the look on that dude's face, right? Just to be like, well, hold on, what does Sark have up his sleeve? Those guys already look at Sark like he's some kind of god, man. These BYU dudes, they love Sark. They'd be like, "Oh my God, what is Sark doing?" It's just like it would be fun. It would be fun to see. I don't think he gets in the game like Blake said, unless kind of towards the end of the game, and we're looking at one that looks like it's well in hand. But Sark did.
I think if that happens, we do see him though. I think if they're up 21 late, like absolutely. I think it'd be valuable to get him reps, not like special reps.
But is that something that needs to be discussed?
No,
that should just be. So what I'm saying is, like, I'm trying to do some coach speak whispering here. I'm trying to. Mm-hmm. So if it is something that he said twice, it's something like, yeah, well, we have had discussions about that with Arch, with Maalik, we've had discussions with the staff. It's something that we could see value in. It does. All right, so we have a super. But just like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do you need to discuss the idea that the quarterback who's currently the backup quarterback, who needs reps anyway, who hadn't played all season, is going to get in the game if they're up by 3 touchdowns with only 5 minutes left?
No, the question
that doesn't need to be discussed.
The question is more in reference to a special package where the game is still on the line. Absolutely.
Okay, super chat. Oscar Elizondo, thank you again, brother. If Arch does end up playing for a large period, how worried should we be considering there are no real star freshman QBs going off this year? How bad could it go? Also, tequila soda helps you stay lean. It helps you stay strong like bull. Oscar Elizondo. It's just the best answer for best cocktail. I guess it's not best; it's favorite, right? I would say that this sounds like a kind of a cop out, but it feels like if Arch plays a lot this game, we'd probably come out of that game a little bit worried because I think it would mean that Maalik got hurt or Maalik played horribly, right?
Yeah,
considering there are no star for like, I think that if I'm understanding your question correctly, if he plays a lot in this game, something went a little haywire.
He plays a lot.
It didn't go according to the plan, or that like it's not. I currently don't have it isn't an item on my menu this week. It's not on the old bingo card for me that Arch plays a ton, and I feel like in order for it to be on the old bingo card, something needs to happen that is really unforeseen. And usually when things happen that are unforeseen, that are in situations like that where your backup quarterback is in there playing the whole time, probably not the best deal. So yeah, I think I might be worried about that. Oh, so Darwin Lim is saying, okay, so he's saying he's worried about our QB room being bad going forward. No. Okay, so if that's what he's saying, no. I wouldn't worry about that because even Sark says both these guys are still at the front of their development curves. Both these guys, it's Arch Manning. And it's Maalik Murphy. We had the issue here that we have to worry about is how the hell you keep both these guys around. They're good.
These guys are the future of the program. They're the quarterbacks of next year.
Yeah, they're going to be fine. But neither of them. The problem is, I mean, you can worry if you want to. I'm not here to tell you not to worry. I'm not your dad, right? But I'm not worried. I'm not worried about them not looking like they're ready to go as stud Division I quarterbacks right off the bat. They haven't played, so
I mean, we saw that with Quinn all of last year. You have some highs, you have some lows. You expect both.
And Sark said in his availability today, Maalik Murphy's going to have bad plays. He's like he's not going to play. He's like, I've never seen a quarterback go 30 for 30. And
Onwar had a hilarious comment. I think was it on the prediction show where he said he could throw a dime or he could also throw it into section 142 or something.
That
effect. That was funny.
Yeah. He's saying, I mean, this year, not so much for the future. All right. So if Arch ends up playing a lot, then that would mean that Maalik Murphy was either hurt or he wasn't playing well. And then we would just have to see how Arch did then, right? Before we began to be worried. But then, yeah, you would worry coming into next week. You're like, well, neither of those guys played that well. They didn't play that well last week. That would be something we'd have a whole.
Well, if it's Maalik getting hurt, that's really concerning because at that point, then it's Arch and Charles. That's your entire QB room. So,
but that's the thing. It's like even the Charles Wright. We've seen these guys. We've seen these kinds of quarterbacks have had to sort of step up and play for Texas at points in time, and they haven't had near the surrounding cast. It wasn't like we were, it wasn't like it was.
That's what we led off with.
We weren't, puking up blood with worry over the fact that Colt McCoy's going in and is, his best wide receiver by a mile is Magic Mike Davis, and he's his best. I don't even know, his best offensive lineman's Elijah Rodriguez or something. It's the program's in a different spot right now, right? So I mean, I would say worry if you want, but yeah. And as far as this year, it's a little bit worrisome it's a little bit worrisome already to be out your starting quarterback for what looks to be two to 3 weeks.
Real quick, just all the talk of Maalik starting and then Arch playing at some point in some special package. It's interesting what K-State is running right now with Will Howard and Avery Johnson. Avery Johnson's a freshman quarterback kind of out of nowhere.
I haven't watched as much K-State, even though I guess I'm wearing the K-State kind of purple this week. Is K-State's purple, right?
Yeah.
And maybe this isn't purple.
I don't know if that's purple.
Yeah,
K-State is purple.
I'm completely colorblind, dog. But
I can tell.
Yeah, but yeah, why
It looks like a dark gray or blue.
Blake like check these pads and shirts and stuff before we end up selling them. Okay. All right. Thank you again, Oscar Elizondo. I don't know. I'm going to watch a bunch of K-State next week. And we'll be talking about it then for sure. Okay. Just anything else here from Sark? Amor asked how long Murphy's leash is, right? Yes, it was a good question. I kind of wonder how long his leash is.
We've been talking about it all week, really. Like, how many drives?
He says naturally in a perfect world, Maalik will find his rhythm and stays hot. But he just says, what I try to gauge is, if he struggles, that's not going to be enough for Sark to take him out or make his leash short or something like that. He says he wants to gauge what he's seeing. If he's seeing what he should be, and where are his eyes? Because he says, like, dude, he can get fooled on coverages, right? He can get fooled by these guys doing different things with stunts. He can get fooled on the way that they defend RPOs and things. Those are ways the quarterbacks can just generally get fooled, right? As long as his eyes are in the right spot, as long as he's seeing the right things, as long as he can come back to the sidelines and say, coach, like, he was coming down. He was coming off the edge. He had completely vacated the hole that he was dropping to. I threw to the hot route. I didn't know that he had gotten there and he was going to turn back around, and get to that spot. Coach would be like, oh, okay. Well, he understood the concept. So I think that I don't think that. I think that was a nice way of Coach Sark saying that. Telling Onwar it's like his leash is going to be his leash, but how short that leash is not something that's going to be dictated by what the average fan, or what the average person asking me a question here sees. If Maalik throws 2 picks or something, like I don't care.
The mistakes themselves are not the worry; it's the decision making behind the mistakes.
Yep. For sure, man. For sure. And the decision making to leave the offensive line for the last thing before we do prize picks and stuff like that. Not sure it's the best. So we got to talk about those guys. We're going to do that. We'll talk some Thursday night football, and we're going to get to it next. Right. As far as Wingo, he's Jay the activist is saying Jamar Chase. I guess he's been telling you that before. I'm not sure I see as much of a Jamar Chase. Do you know, like I was saying it earlier, I kind of see this isn't to be saying like he can't be like a Chase. I think he has the same kind of around the same height. So I think I'd have to look at Jamar Chase's weight on mock draftable with what he was coming out, but I think he's kind of got a little bit kind of more BMI to him. He kind of reminds me of a dude who is kind of like right now, like a taller Devin Duvernay, a guy who's 6'2" as opposed to like 5'11" or whatever Duvernay is, but thick. You know how Herman says like Duvernay wore armor is what Herman would always say, right? He's a guy he looks like you maybe line him up at running back sometimes, even though he appeared a little bit just kind of small and stuff. Man, you get up, you kind of stand next to him, you're like, dude, that guy's got a lot of mass on his body for being that fast. And I was looking it up today with the Wingo stuff when we first started doing this, and I was looking at his track times and also looking at what his forget whether his mother or his father had told whatever the St. Louis newspaper was when they're doing a feature on him about his 40 time, that they had laser timed at 4.39. At this age, catch a 4.39. They were talking about a verified already a 37-inch vertical. This is an athlete and just a killer, soft-handed, natural receiver with a ton of versatility. He's saying Jamar Chase. I don't know if there's anybody that sticks out to you maybe as a comp. And also, I know you've already written up your instant analysis for people who haven't seen it. Just what is your read about the guy's game? Like, how does he fit in? Like, do you think he's a natural to slide in at X? He's not your most traditional kind of, he's not a 6'4" Adonai Mitchell type of body, but you can certainly play X wide receiver at 6'2", whenever you have that kind of speed and that kind of BMI.
I think more AJ Brown. If you look at him,
I like that. Because he could fill out to that size, right?
I mean, he's a big. Let's just talk about who he is right now.
Okay.
In high school ball in the state of Missouri, there's just nobody that can touch him. He's bigger, he's faster, he's stronger than everybody. There ain't a whole lot of like I saw someone I was asking earlier for like a Duncanville DeSoto score. He's never been involved in a game like that in his life where it's like, how many D1 guys are on the field? Oh, there's 30 guys between both rosters. And it becomes a little bit of like men versus men, right? Where it's like, well, hey, there's Caden Durham over there and Colin Simmons over here, and they're all different, but like they're ballers. I don't know that he gets a whole lot of that right now in the state of Missouri. When you watch his highlight film, you notice a couple of things. One is like, holy shit, man. Like he's just physically more developed and stronger than like anybody else he's playing against.
Yep.
And then you realize, that 10.55 track speed as a junior.
Oh, goodness.
Is real. Like you realize, he's bigger than everybody, but he runs away from everybody too. It makes watching his film sometimes comical because like they'll just get him the ball any way possible. And then guys aren't able to like bring him down, but B, they can't catch him either.
Oh, yes, football with friends is fun as hell. So you get a break from me and Blake just to hear me and Catch, I guess. But we definitely got to answer. I forgot whose question that was earlier about Jamar Chase, but that's how we see it. Jay Ward's asking, "What do you think we do? What do you think that we do during the break?" Dude, I get up and walk around.
You'll never know. You'll never know what we do during the break.
It's crazy. All right, let's talk about the offensive line. Let's do the deep dig. We have the deep dig for this week. Okay, that's defense. Let's go to the offensive line grades. You guys all know the grading scale, but here it is, right? You want games usually in here for really good college play. Anything below here is, starting to get unacceptable. Anything kind of down below 74.5 is unacceptable. Up here is probably the best game that Kelvin Banks has played, somewhere in here. These guys who, get drafted highly in the NFL draft. And the highest anybody's had this season is probably just right around here, right? Sort of Christian Jones. I think he got an 80 or an 81 in one of these games, okay? So here's the grades this week. Did Christian Jones even get an 81 in one game? No, he didn't. He got up to a 79.94. So here's what it was. Kelvin Banks played well in this game. As far as his disruption that he allowed this week, I'll just go through all of them and tell you what they all gave up. Let's see. Drafts. Got this guy. Okay, so Kelvin Banks this week played 66 snaps. He allowed one run stuff. He had one false start penalty. He also generated one knockdown and one pin. And so the difference between a knockdown and a pin is that a knockdown is where he just knocks the guy down. A pin is where you actually take the dude, you grab him by his chest plate, and you put him in the dirt on his back, and you fall on him. It's a very, very, very demoralizing play for a defender. I can tell you as a guy that used to play defensive end. There's nothing.
You didn't enjoy those.
There's nothing worse. Getting knocked down is one thing because you can always go back. You could tell coach. You could be like, "Coach, I was going for the tackle. Like he didn't knock me down." If they pin you on your back, it's a very demoralizing. It's something that the pin blocks are graded higher than the knockdowns because they really, really do. They affect you, for like series moving forward, man. Like unless you have a super, super short memory, it's a demoralizing and degrading thing to have happen to you. Christian Jones, he scored a 78.18, which is basically his average on the season is a 78.61, median 78.53, so below for both of those, but not his worst game. It was his second worst game of the season, just behind OU last week. So Christian Jones, like I talked about, a little bit sloppy. It was mainly with the fact that he couldn't get to depth in his drops. He was having a little bit of trouble with his feet. I think he's going to be fine, but there were a couple little balanced issues, some overextension issues, things that are very uncharacteristic to see out of Christian Jones based on what he's done so far this season. DJ Campbell played a good game. For DJ Campbell, it's 77.72. You'll take that every single day of the week, especially given the fact that he did give up 1.5 sacks in this game. 1.5 sacks were given up in this game by DJ Campbell. He also allowed 1 run stuff and 1 knockdown. I didn't say about Christian Jones. So he allowed 1 run stuff. He had 3 knockdowns in this game, though. So at least he was still knocking people down. And on 66 total snaps, 1 run stuff isn't terrible. I mean, that's 1 active disruption and/or penalty per 66 snaps, as we saw on the historical ledger earlier. And we'll pull that chart up in a little while. That if you do that over the course of the season, you're going to be the best that Texas has ever had. So as far as his bad play, thankfully it did not lead to extra disruption, but the play was sloppy. It wasn't clean. It wasn't the Christian Jones. It wasn't the stuff where you say like, oh my God, that guy used to be a soccer player. Oh my God, look at him. It wasn't like that this week. He looked more lumbering, looked just more cumbersome, a tiny bit more robotic than you'd like to see. With Jake Majors, it was a tough game for Jake Majors. But kind of like Christian Jones, it didn't result in a whole ton of disruption. He and DJ Campbell together allowed 1 sack, so they each got a half a sack for that deal. Jake Majors and all these guys played every snap of the game except for the kneel down stuff, right? Or whatever punt stuff, or I don't even know what PFF charts. They have some of these guys like 71 snaps, some of 69, some of 67. I don't know what they chart. These guys played the whole game. It was 66 snaps that the quarterbacks played. He allowed 1 run stuff, 1 half a sack. Big Jake Majors with 2 knockdowns in this game, which is the most he's had all season. So good to see that out of him. The problem with him was he spent too much time on the ground. He lost his feet. It was a problem to start the season whenever he was lunging. I don't think this was necessarily because he was lunging. I feel like the line at times was generating a lot of good movement. And when DJ Campbell generates good movement and he gets a head of steam behind him, a lot of times, man, you can find yourself in spots where it's like you feel like you got a bull or something just kind of creeping up at the back of your knees. And it's you can lose your feet in close quarters, and that was just happening to Jake Majors this week. His deep dig grade was a 76.81, which was among the lowest of the season so far for him. The only worst games were the one versus Baylor, 76.09, and then this miserable piece of just rotten, deplorable junk versus Rice, a 73.8. just miserable. Look at these guys. This is why I color coded. Look how bad they were versus Rice. Do you remember the hard talk that we had to have for that game, Blake?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember.
But in all, look at the color coding. Look at Hayden Connor. Look at Hayden Connor. Allows 0 disruption in this game. Nothing. None. 0. Nothing. Hayden Connor said, I'm done. Hayden Connor says, I'm done with this stuff, man. I'm done. I'm done with it. Hayden Connor's too good. He's too smart. He knew he was playing bad. I told you guys, man. He's like, he was hurt. I'm not saying I told you so. Just saying.
You said it since the second week of the season that you thought his footwork was off. You called it out. You were like, he looks injured.
I said I haven't verified this, but I know it's something with the left side of his body.
Yeah.
He looked fine. He looked fine. And here's the other thing, dude. They were great. I can't believe I didn't do this. I made a note and I wrote down every power play that they ran. Right. So you guys know what just a power man gap play is, just the traditional power play with the guard pulling, right? Where you picture everybody on the line blocking down and the running back taking an angle, not like an outside zone angle when they do pin and pull, right? Because we know what that is. 2 guys pinned down the 2 uncovered guys pinned down. And uncovered just means you don't have the linebacker head up on you, right? If you have leverage on the lineman, not the linebacker, on the defensive lineman, you block down on him against the play, right? and then the two guys who the defensive line are covering, who they're over, those guys pull around. So it's a pin and pull, right? And the running back in those plays will take a zone angle with them, an outside zone angle, and run it like outside zone and look for a cutback behind those two men that are out there pulling. That's not what a power play is. In a power play, they take an angle at the outside hip of the offensive tackle, right? And on the play side. So let's just say it's a power play to the left. What Kelvin Banks does is he blocks down. So he'll block over to his right because the play is coming to his outside hip, right? So he blocks the other way. He'll block down, and the guard will block down, and the center will block down to where the guard is covered. That right guard pulls around, and what he does, since Kelvin Banks is blocked down, what that does is that leaves the defensive end standing there in place. And as a defensive end, what you need to do is you need to be prepared. You know what's going on. You're about to get trapped. Or you're about to have a pulling guard. Something's going to happen, right? And so what they teach you is as a defensive end is you get your body square to the line of scrimmage. The thing you don't do is open up your chest to where the guard is going to be coming and giving an open shot at your chest, right? You make yourself as small as possible on the line of scrimmage. You give up your shoulder to him, right? And you make sure to get your power base set, and you get ready to take on that block, and you need to get off that block, right? And you need to make the play because you know that what's happening is the tackle is blocking down and the pulling guard is kicking out, and that is what makes the hole for the running back to go. It's a man gap power principle. They're trying to create a gap, and as the defensive end, you're the one who they're kicking out. Okay, DJ Campbell does an excellent job kicking out, excellent, and it's not just the way that he kicks out better than Hayden Connor. It's the fact that it's the fact that unbelievably, Kelvin Banks, who is not the people mover or the mauler that Christian Jones is still the more technical player who gets the better seal blocks there on the end. It's just much cleaner. It's much cleaner with these power plays to the left. And so what I did was I went and I don't have the numbers for you, but I can just tell you that when I went and charted it, I can tell you with certainty that like we'll see more power plays to the left this week. It's a lock, right? So whenever you see dudes pulling, and it's not the pulling plays like I said with the outside zone angles from the running back, it's with the angles to the tackle's outside hip from Jay Brooks. So when you see Jay Brooks getting to a running start, basically straight forward at a 45-degree angle to one of the tackle's hips, you're going to see that to the left much more often this week. Just book it, mark it in pen, write it in Sharpie across your forehead. It's absolutely going to happen this week because they had a lot more success with that. So much cleaner. Those two guys, I'm really surprised by DJ Campbell's ability to really break down and be athletic, with just getting these kick out blocks. And man, Kelvin is just so technical, sealing that outside. He's just better at it than Christian Jones. Christian Jones is better at some things, and you'd think that Christian Jones is maybe more of the mauling run blocker, like I said. But I think when you kind of seal that edge, it takes a little bit more of a technician, and Kelvin has a little bit more of that technician to his game. If we look by week, so here's where we are just as far as the snaps per disruption allowed on the season. I wanted to look on the season first, and then we'll look by week. So snaps per disruption on the season. Christian Jones still in first place here. Just an absurd 51.89 snaps per disruption allowed. He's been incredible. Like we saw, it was what did we say on the historical chart? The historical chart. It was here he is. He's number 5 all time, right? Behind Trey Hopkins was 57.1. As a senior, Connor Williams in his great sophomore year, 56.9. Kelvin Banks last year was 55.6. Samuel Cosme in his last year at Texas, 54.1. We have Christian Jones sitting here in 5th place all time out of 73 100 snap qualifiers since 2013. Kelvin's right up here as well. Jake Majors amazingly is in 9th place.
And again, when we talk about it, this is the perfect setup for Maalik Murphy. There you go. 3 guys in the top 10 of the historical deep dig numbers.
And then it's 27 for DJ Campbell.
Yeah.
But see with DJ Campbell, that's moving up because much as like this snaps per production by week, I now started doing just an extra chart, just the snaps per disruption allowed by week, just to kind of see how they're trending. And yeah, Christian Jones has been trending down, but he's always going to trend down from 67. I mean, look at where 67 would put him on this list. He's not going to be 10 better than he's not going to be 10 better than all the rest. But if you just look at it by week, so we have you just see the fact that they're getting all these trends are good, right? Look at Kelvin. He started out at 22, then he goes to 27. And remember, this is not per game, right? This is like, so after the Rice game, he was at 22.33. After the Rice and the Alabama game, all the snaps combined, he's at 27.4. After the Wyoming, Alabama, and Rice game, he's at 30, right? So every week, I'm just saying what they are now this week.
Is the aggregate.
Of all the games. Yeah. And so we can identify trends. And Kelvin's gone, he's like double his snaps per disruption allowed and or penalty caused. A little bit of a fall down this week, a tiny one. I think it's just because, he had one active disruption allowed and he committed one penalty. He had the false start early on, but still, he's sitting at 40. It's great. It's top 7 all time. You got Jake Majors that's on a decent trend line, even though it got best.
Decent. Yeah, he's killing it. If he stays above 40, that's phenomenal.
If he stays above 30, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like I've said about DJ Campbell, look at DJ Campbell. This is the most clear trend line. It gets better every week. Oh, he had a little dip versus OU from 30.67 to 29.42, but back up to 31.04 after this game. And then Hayden Connor's. Now he's getting to where he's respectable. 23.4 it's kind of fine. 23, 24, 25. That's kind of fine.
You're seeing the growth. You're seeing the growth.
If that's your weakest length, you're feeling, God, man, you're cooking with grease. This offensive line's good. And I know people think last week it's like, man, like it's real easy to say we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? Yeah, they all stink. Like the safety stink. It was like, well, no, they were put in impossible positions, right? The offensive line was no good. They got Quinn killed. It's like, no, that was JT Sanders. I saw DJ Campbell give up a sack. It's like, well, yeah, he played 66 snaps. He always kind of gives up a sack or does. Like he's still. It's his first year as a starter. He's an incredible player. These guys are good. They're gonna be good for a long time to come, and they're not going to be around that long. So enjoy it for now. Thank goodness there are guys like Brandon Baker in the pipe. Maybe we get a DeAndre Carter in the pipe. We're gonna get some good players that come up, and maybe I don't have a lot of hope for the 2023 recruiting class of guys. I kind of thought that was an interesting bunch of the whole large humans. I thought it was a neat narrative and stuff. But look, I've said from the very beginning, trust Kyle Flood and not me. Mm-hmm. I know more about this Texas offensive line than anybody else in the Texas media, hands down by far. But it's a little piece of sand in the hourglass of what Kyle Flood knows.
I feel like we've been hearing.
You know what I'm saying? It is nothing, zero compared to what Kyle Flood knows and what he sees and what he's like. I can say that he's forgotten. He's forgotten more than I know, but that would even be cockamamie and disrespectful to him. Like he's forgotten 100 times more than I even know. So if he thinks that those guys can the Connor Strohs of the world, the Peyton Kirklands, and these dudes, I think what he's thinking is like, man, if I hit on one of them, if I hit on just one or two of these guys and they pan out and they're that big, it's like I'll be good.
So got Neto in there from
man.
Class. Yeah.
And I'm like, Connor Robertson didn't play well versus OU. I'm not out on Connor Robertson. Thought he was a great prospect. I think Cole Hudson can continue to get better.
I don't even think he played that bad.
All
considering the circumstances, I thought he played all right.
Yeah, for sure, dude. So that's it, man.
Good vibes with the offensive line. Good vibes.
That's the offensive line. Maybe we could talk. The wide receivers, Jonte Cook didn't hardly play it again, but none of these other guys played. Jonte's the only one that comes in.
They gotta start playing Jonte at some point, right?
Start getting. I wonder if it was the least. I wonder if it was the least that CJ Baxter played all year. Let me just look and see. Hold on. Skill player participation. Where is that one? Okay. So here's this one. Let me just widen it out. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
All right. So only 22% of snaps. No, he only played 15% of snaps versus OU.
Yep.
Gosh, Jonathan Brooks just a bell cow these last 2 weeks, man. It's crazy. Just like he was versus what was that one? Versus Wyoming. Golly. Played a ton versus Wyoming. But yeah, so CJ Baxter just it didn't feel like he was a 23% snap participant in that game, but I guess he was.
Let's look at the wide receivers real quick while you're here.
Yep.
Because Adonai Mitchell plays 95% of snaps.
Yep.
Whittington's still hovering around 50%.
Which is his season average. He plays 50% of snaps.
That's what he does. Yeah.
Because if you look at the personnel utilization by game, they play in 11 personnel 56% of the time, right? And so if you consider the fact that there's like 4% of the time that's like you get it in these games where DeAndre Moore and these guys get in at the very end, then that's what makes it the 4%. But it's basically if they're in 11 personnel, Jordan Whittington's in there. I wouldn't be. Oh yeah, so look. Add up 52.17 and 4.14. I guarantee you that's whatever this is, right?
Yep.
56 point something. Mm-hmm. So it's if they're in 11, that's what that means. So and then we saw JT Sanders just back up to doing JT Sanders stuff. We're starting to see Maalik Agbo play like 25% of snaps, and I don't mind it. He's actually kind of good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know?
I've seen Agbo in there.
Do you know what I'm not kind of good at? Picking prize picks.
Yeah.
I'm good at it on the weekends. I'm just not good during the week on the show. I feel like I'm kind of.
You're like me with picks against the spread on the Outsiders. My record is absolutely trash on there, but in general, like I'm up this year picking games against the spread.
I'm going to go with the narrative that maybe Tampa Bay like somehow wins this game.
Oh, real quick, let's put a pin in this question from Cody for maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes, was there any target share change when Maalik came in?
Oh, that's an interesting. Well, I think Maalik
I don't have enough time to dive into that, but that's
I don't. But he only threw. Didn't Maalik only throw like what 3? Was it like 3 or 4 passes?
Yeah, they ran the ball a lot once he came in.
Yeah, the 1 to 80 Mitchell. It's the only one I can remember is the 80. Oh, and then the dump off to Brooks. No, I can't think of it. I don't know an answer to that, but I can look into it before the show tomorrow. All right, so let's see here. Do you think that? What do you think? How do you think this game goes?
Oh man, Buffalo is so hard to read right now.
Is there a receiving yards prop on? I mean,
I think they bounce back. They lost to the Patriots last week.
It feels like Rachaad White's going to get 22 and a half receiving yards, right? He's got one of the best target shares of any running back not named Alvin Kamara. He's got like the best route percentage of all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Actually, I want to look at that real quick. Look at my ranking.
Was it you that was talking about Kincaid this morning?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that was Catch, but I do like the Kincaid stuff.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Let's see if I can show you guys this. So was routes run per team drop back. Yeah. Look at like Rachaad White. It wasn't Kamara. It was actually just behind Christian McCaffrey. 66% or 63% of routes run. Number 2 in the whole league so far. So, man, I think he's going to get. I think he's going to get 22.5. I'll pull Prize Picks back up. That's one I like. Cody, Money B. There any of these that you guys like?
Money B says take Evans.
Okay. I mean, if we're saying that they're going to win, 60.5 seems too low. I like the Dalton Kincaid. Oh my God, it's up to 41.5 now. Ketchum got it at 34.5. I don't like it as much. I don't like it as much as it's not a good matchup for opposing tight ends. You know what, man? Maybe here's the thing. Their defense isn't good, and Tre'Davious White is banged up. Gosh, it feels like Gabe Davis is going to have more than 40.5 receiving yards, doesn't it? If 232 for Baker, I can't in good conscience bet on Baker. See, is there a fantasy score for any of these Bills guys?
Chad Gibson says James Cook receiving yards, maybe.
Who does?
Chad Gibson in the chat. James Cook receiving yards.
What was it? 19.5? 17.5. Oh man. I'm not sure I like it. Oh, dude. How about this? My dog, Trey Palmer. He's getting more than 16.5 receiving yards. And then I gotta pick one of these guys. How about we'll go catches, Dalton Kincaid stuff. Right?
Send it.
Ship it. Let's ship it. All right, there we go. Anything else that we need to clean up around here, Blake? We got I guess no questions. Is there a tackles tab? Yeah, there is, but mainly just on the mains on the main slates and stuff. Is there a tackles guy that Money B would have liked? If so, hey Blake, you didn't ever say your favorite cocktail.
Oh, so I probably order margaritas more than anything, but I would say like a bourbon and Coke is probably my favorite. That's just in general, like what I would drink, a margarita or a bourbon and Coke, depending on maybe the food we're eating or what we're doing. But those are my two go-tos.
You wouldn't put good bourbon inside the bourbon and Coke.
No.
You just drink
it's
that by
Jack and Coke or what? Yeah.
My neighbor is a bourbon drinker, right? And he'll always like if he gets expensive bourbons and stuff because
I'll drink it on the rocks, like just straight up.
I guess it's the one liquor I get that I just get it and I just kind of put it in the liquor cap. I don't even drink that stuff, man. It gets me real hazy. Kind of hurts the old stomach and stuff, man. Tequila for me. And in the specs chat line, we've got a lot of tequila fans, of course, man. Hey, we all think alike around here, man. This is where we come together to have some fun together. We talk some football. We get to be here with our friends. We could not do it without the chat, man. It's because of you guys that we're here having fun, that we're doing this. It's every weekday, 3:30 to 5:30 Central. Tomorrow we get Cody Carpentier on. We of course
check out the merch.
Have merch available. It's in the pinned messages, so you can find it there. Maybe Blake, can you in the show description, maybe could you add the link to the merch so if people are watching this later, they can just kind of go down there and see it. Love to see all you guys getting this merch, and I can't wait to maybe see some out in the wild at some point, man. That would be the total trip to see a Football with Friends hat or something out there. or maybe tomorrow I'll be able to wear my new Cockamamie t-shirt, right? It's always a good time, man. So thank you guys so much for being here with us. We can't tell you how much that we love you and love having you here with us. So for Blake, I'm Alex. We're done.